Hey guys, we're covering 5 Hebrew words that every Christian should know. Now, the Hebrew word for bread is lechem, which might sound familiar because at Christmas time we talk a lot about a city called Beth Lechem, which in its original eyes, Beth or Bat would have meant house, and Lechem means bread. So Bethlehem is the house of bread. Now, the word bread or lechem is actually used 296 times in the Old Testament, which is a lot of usage for one word, and it's used in so many different contexts. In Genesis, after Adam and Eve are deceived in the Garden of Eden, that's the time that we call the fall, God says to both Adam and Eve that there's going to be some consequences. God tells Eve that childbearing is going to be really painful for her. And God tells Adam this. He says, by the sweat of your brow, you will eat your bread, your lechem, until you return back to the ground. For from you were taken, and to dust you shall return. You see, Adam's consequence for the fall is to work hard and eat his bread, lechem, until he dies. I want you to hold this thought for just a second. Just a book later, in the book of Exodus, Moses learns from God that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the word of the Lord. Meaning that you and I, as people, we get to live by 2 things: bread, lechem, and the word of God. Now, the first bread, we sort of get that. We need bread in order to live. We need some sort of calories in our diet. But then the word of God. If we fast forward to John's account of who Jesus was, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, meaning that the Word of God is Jesus. So the second thing that we need to live is Jesus. So we need bread, lechem, and the Word of God, Jesus. But even further in the book of John, Jesus says, I am the bread of life. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone who eats of this bread will live forever, because I am the bread that I will give for life. So now Jesus is the bread, the lechem that we've been looking for, born in Bethlehem, the city of bread, and the word of God. But remember the consequence of the fall? The consequence of the fall is that we're going to have to toil for bread our whole life. That is, until we get to Jesus, who comes and is the bread of life. So we're freed from the fall. It's beautiful. Well, enjoy lechem, my friends.